So, Cats is by far the worst movie of 2019 that I've seen, at least. I hate this more than I hate Aladdin, the new one, for such a cast who have acted in actual films and TV shows, and such a director who has made watchable movies. It is a failure. Like, I literally felt almost nothing during this movie. Besides fear and cringism and apparent boredom. But besides that, I literally felt nothing. I felt like my soul had been temporarily removed while watching this movie, specifically for watching this movie. Like, I was just bored. I almost fell asleep 3 times. 3 times, I count. Sorry I'm talking funny. I got a fucking retainer. I couldn't be bothered to take it out for this dumb fucking movie. Um, I I don't think I've ever just not known what's been going on for almost 2 hours of my life, and I was completely sober when watching this. It was so mind-bogglingly bizarre in its structure, and just went on and on and on without anything really concise happening. Like, I understood Under the Skin more than I understood this movie. And that movie's a fucking mindfuck on purpose. This isn't trying to be a mindfuck. This is trying to be a clear, concise musical adventure, right? It's rated U. Like, of course, from a visual standpoint, it's uncanny as fuck, and it constantly dips from being pretty bad to being, like, much worse, with Idris Elba's character in particular fucking terrifying the shit out of me when he took his clothes off. I was actually scared. And then, of course, he started singing along to that song. What does it go? It's like, McCavity, McCavity, sung by Taylor Swift, which is the only half-decent song in the entire movie, surprisingly. Good for you, I guess, Mrs. Swift. The biggest problem with said bland and sometimes outright poorly sung music is it was made for Broadway. This is like a play. This is something that people see live with people in real costumes, not horrendous CG animation and performance capture, whatever the fuck it is, dancing around like fucking 4-year-olds, like weird, furry 4-year-old freaks, pretending like they're professional actors. They've adapted it directly onto screen, but they've added such little to it, including basic dialogue to actually move the story along and not just sing about a bunch of nonsense that no one cares about. Like, it doesn't belong here. It's just weird and kind of uncomfortable. I say kind of, but it is extremely uncomfortable. Like, I wouldn't say the performances were necessarily awful, except for James Corden and Rebel Wilson, who I cannot stand. I cannot fucking stand James Corden, and I actually don't mind Rebel Wilson, so that was very disappointing. But they're all just so forgettable, and the designs of the characters restricted any emotion whatsoever. Like, I was getting flashbacks to fucking Cat in the Hat, and that disgusting costume fucking Mike Myers had to wear. Like, they just moved, like I said, they moved around like a bunch of fucking 4-year-olds pretending to be cats, like, doing these weird movements, like they're supposed to be some kind of, like, artistic dance or something, pretending to be cats with some kind of decent choreography here and there, but nothing noteworthy. It isn't helped by the oddly sexual tones this movie has, with it actually making me cringe at certain points and go in back of my mind, what the fuck am I watching? It is a fucking haunting experience, to say the least. Like, I was fighting the urge to walk out at the end. I've never walked out of a movie in the cinema before. I've stopped watching multiple films while at home, but I do respect the public area of theatre and what it represents in film too much to just walk out of a movie. I had to sit this one through. Um, the story is just insanely stupid and just uninteresting, and it isn't helped by previously mentioned lack of actual scene structure beyond just singing and astonishingly awful attempts at humour that completely missed the market and had me physically rolling my eyes at what I was witnessing. It was embarrassing. It was actually quite pathetic. Um, it was just the same thing over and over, but gradually just getting worse and worse. Like, the facial expressions were so fucking weird on these actors and strangely hypnotic in terms of the kind of nightmares you're going to have the evening following watching this movie. I think the most insulting part of this film is towards the end, where Judi Dench literally shoves a bunch of shit down about cats just down your fucking throat and how to talk to them that you just do not fucking care about. I don't blame her. I blame the script, which clearly thinks its audience will just absorb anything thrown at them, like the audience are like fucking idiots or something. That's how the script it literally treats people like they're idiotic. Like, the only actual plot points besides that insulting mess are villain guy wants to ascend to the next world. All these cats, they gather around, they do this shit so they can ascend to the next world and get reincarnated and come back as what the fuck ever. Like, there's an outcast Catwoman that wants friends and whatever, but they all hate her. They explained it in a song. I wasn't fucking listening. And when she finally gets what she wants, we supposedly get a happy ending when they just send her off to ascend, like, which it never addressed her as wanting to do, from what I can remember. She just, like, she wanted a family. She wanted people to like her. She didn't want to get sent to the next world in this fucking stupid competition that even the main character barely knows is going on half the time. And saying that that weird cat lady, played by a ballerina, which will explain the oddly decent dance moves, like, is she even the main character? Like, it's just fucking confusing. It'd be kind of funny if the fucking suicide hot air balloon they sent that lonely cat in just never came back with her reincarnation and just crashed and burned with her inside. I guess after finally getting what she wanted, they had to give her something they wanted to give her without even asking. It is an awful conclusion, and it's probably the biggest fuck you besides that cat thing I mentioned with Judi Dench, which would be more insulting if it wasn't Judi Dench, of course. Like, the lack of actual purpose in this film behind it is just what makes it worse to me. The play, from what I know of it, is fine. It's a fun little play, but the CG, the only addition to the production of this film, ruins anything interesting. It's horribly, insultingly bad. Like, there's a whole bunch of inconveniences that just make this movie worse to me. I already mentioned how they just fuck off that chick who only wanted to belong somewhere and not to get killed in a fucking hot air balloon after supposedly spiritually transcending or whatever the fuck it was. After Rebel Wilson's character gets kidnapped with James Corden's character, who I was hoping would die for the longest time, she, like, slips out of the extra skin she's wearing, which was addressed in a dance sequence earlier. So, hey, setups, right? 10 out of 10, praise this movie. I couldn't help but think to myself, why didn't you use this method to escape like 10 fucking minutes ago? Also, how the fuck did you get back to the mainland? Can you drive this fucking prison boat? They literally just show up at the end for the finale. And the main villain just loses his powers for some reason. Just out of nowhere, he tries to do the weird little rip-off Beast from X-Men thing, and it just doesn't work. You know, it's fucking weird. Like, it just makes me angry, so I'm not going to go on. Like, it's just end it there. There's plenty more shit you'll notice that's so obvious and just so irritating. This movie, it doesn't even appeal to furries, which is the biggest insult in my opinion. Speaking on the behalf of the furry community, I'm not part of it, but I own a bunch of stuffed animals, so, you know, I do get the appeal of it, but I personally don't dress up in suits or go to conventions or anything. But speaking on their behalf, like, because when they try and speak for themselves, it's cringy. Like, they're not gonna. It's not. This movie's not gonna appeal to a single furry. Not YMS. Not fucking what's his name? That guy who said Pyrocynical can't call him a faggot, but he can say it because he's bisexual. Like, I think it was a furry. Like, it's not gonna appeal to any of them. No one was beating off to the movie or making horny remarks while watching it. Like, my audience was composed of a physically and mentally disabled woman, an old couple, and a bunch of little girls. That's my audience that I was with in the Everyman Muswell Hill. That's who was there. People who dress up in fursuits will just be insulted by this movie. They will be fucking embarrassed to even consider this as a horny cinema trip. Like, just fuck this movie, and anyone who thought it would be a good idea, fuck you if you go and see it. You are a terrible person, and I'm probably gonna die soon for being guilty.